everyone, and welcome back to the channel. You are seeing the title of this video correctly. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know why I was inclined. I don't know if it's a lack of my mental sanity or whatever else goes on with this life. But yes, I am back in the BBR. Yes, I am doing Pokemon Draft League again. Yes, it is Generation 9. And yes, I'm wearing a Vegas Golden D-Nites hoodie that is also on sale, and you can purchase it for yourself and your family and friends and blah, blah, blah. But I am not alone in this video. And the reason I'm not alone in this video is because I am not a genius. I may be solid at battling Pokemon, but there has to be a brain behind every operation. And that brain of this operation is AddieisCrazy.
Hiya. Yeah, I don't know about genius. I'm merely somebody who sees the bigger picture. You do the battling, I just see the haha funny characters, and I'm like, this will go good.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a solid team to win battles, and everyone does all these testings and all this stuff, and we kind of are like, you know what? That's a good Pokemon. Let's bring it this week. That's our mindset. Last time we joined forces in the BBR, we went to the Final Four semifinals and lost a 2-0 to the now, fun fact, back-to-back champion. So we're doing the D-League. I will not be battling anyone that I battled in the original BBR unless I decide to come back and I maybe win this and get an invite to the main league. So I thought it was a good starting point for me to see if I actually enjoy Gen 9 draft or not. But some of the Pokemon are crazy, and we've seen a lot of craziness. We did do this draft prior to Monday, February 27th. So if for whatever reason there is a Pokemon Home announcement, I'm hopeful that they just leave it. If for whatever reason they did not announce it, then it's it. There was like a vote. I don't know what the vote's going to tally up to. It was like tied when I looked at it. It was like 7-7 between 16 coaches. So that's kind of crazy. But I would really appreciate if you leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and also ring the bell and don't miss any BBR action. I will upload Sundays for battles, Saturdays for team builders, which you may see Addie on a lot more. Also, Addie streams a lot on Twitch. Links to everything that they got going on over there is linked down below as well, because again, brains of the operation, cannot give enough credit and help to that. A lot of this team was helpful of himself and I, so we gotta kind of put a little team effort into this, and I kept advocating. I was like, Volcarona's still kind of there. Hey, we could draft Hydreigon, right? Yeah. That was the
Hydreigon went. I saw Hydreigon went undrafted.
Hydreigon went undrafted in this league, and I thought that's crazy.
That was pretty crazy. I mean, it's not the same amount it was last gen with it, you know, losing Roost and losing fucking Defog and all that shit. But,
yeah, but it's still a good Pokemon. Like,
it's a good Pokemon, but losing Roost was huge. It was such a tough
and
loss.
Defog kind of sucks too.
Yeah.
But how the draft worked was they basically split into two. There are so many usable Pokemon. I say very seldomly in this. And you only can draft so many. So what they did was they split it into, so there's 16 total coaches in the league. Then they split it down the middle. You put 8 and 8 in each draft pool. So basically, if you drafted Goldango, for example, Goldango could go in the Scarlet division. It also could go in the Violet division. But obviously, not multiple teams can draft it. It just in that division itself. So unfortunately, I was gifted with the 8th pick in this draft. And I wanted Dragapult, if I remember talking to you correctly. I think that's the Pokemon I really wanted to utilize.
Talking about,
yeah, and I'm like, Dragapult would be really fun to use. It was for me, it was Dragapult or Iron Bundle I really wanted to use. And it got to the 5th pick, and Dragonite went. And Dragapult and both Iron Bundle were still there. And then in just beautiful Davion gets screwed fashion, Dragapult went 6th, Iron Bundle went 7th, and we were left with Iron Valiant.
And Iron Valiant is not anything to scoff at, though. I mean, that shit is.
It goes crazy, silly.
You know? Like, yeah, it's a fairy fighting type, arguably the best offensive typing in the game. Obviously, Quirk Drive's a funny ability with the booster energy, and what we'll talk about later with the other aspect of that ability. But yeah, you got booster energy, but even just a standard like spec set Life Orb. I don't think Banded's all that common, but you know, heavy duty boots is pretty nice for just keeping it around for chip, even though it already resists rocks. What else do you got there? I've seen Expert Belt used pretty prominently. Something I want to toy around with a little bit, if there's ever a chance or a reason, is I think Assault Vest actually has a pretty decent I wouldn't say like super viable, but a decent thing to kind of bounce ideas off of. It's got decent physical defense, but trash special defense. So it's something that could
Okay.
kind of help it stick around a little bit and take hits if it needed to.
I think
But
it also
yeah,
depends on the matchup, right? Because if
oh
we
yeah,
have a matchup,
definitely,
yeah, if there's a matchup where it's like, hey, if we bring Assault Vest this week, you could switch into a lot and drain punch your
absolutely,
way to victory. Like, yeah, why not?
absolutely.
Because
Yeah, and I mean it's got incredible coverage too, which is
yeah,
another great thing.
yeah, and
I
if we
mean,
want to run special, it has Focus Blast, Energy Ball. Friggin' Aura Sphere is a great move. Doesn't check accuracy, so
yeah.
D Gleam is solid. For
It
stab.
gets Moonblast. You don't need to run D-Gleam.
Oh, I'm sorry. It gets Moonblast, not D Gleam. I apologize. That's what I wanted to.
Yeah.
And if you want to go physical, you get coverage in Poison Jam,
It's
Jab, Liquidation, Knockoff, Ice Punch. Like, it's good
so
coverage.
I've played this Pokemon one time in Gen 9 draft, and it 6-0'd me because my plan was, okay, well, don't let it set up. I had Dondozo and Clodsire, two unaware mons, and it didn't matter because it was able to run mixed, and Clodsire crazy Spadef and Dondozo crazy Fizdef. It was able to 2-hit KO both of them. So
Yeah, that's
with a
tough.
mixed set, so that was pretty crazy. It's got incredible coverage. It's got coverage for basically every typing you could need except for like Steel, but it's got Poison Jab, so Steel is usually not that necessary for a fighting type anyway.
Yep.
Just an incredible, and it's got good utility too. It's got Destiny Bond, it's got Disable, it's got Trick, it's got Thunderwave. It's got Taunt. It's got Calm Mind. It's got Calm Mind and Swords Dance. This is just a crazy Pokemon. There's just not enough good to say about it. It gets Encore if that's
It
something
gets
that would be
Leaf
useful.
Blade too. That's crazy. I didn't even see that.
There's like literally like one type. I think it doesn't get Rock and it doesn't get Steel. I think those are like the only coverage moves it doesn't get. It's crazy. This Pokemon is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. And it can double dance, agility, swords dance, and with Cork Drive, you may not even need to bring one of those, just one or the other if necessary, if you don't hit hard enough for some god-awful reason with this Pokemon.
And it's already fast enough, it's going to outspeed most things in traditional Gen 9 draft, too, which is really nice. And even if it doesn't outspeed, it gets priority, too. It gets Shadow Sneak, it gets... is it just Shadow Sneak that it gets?
I think it's
Does it
just
get
Shadow
Push? No.
Sneak.
Yeah, just Shadow Sneak. But still, it's good. It's just there's not enough good things to say about this mon offensively. It's just a wall breaker that just destroys things. It's crazy.
Yep, and it's a great mon to get at the first pick, right? And especially at the end of the draft.
Especially on the wheel.
Yeah, especially on the wheel. And something that we grabbed second in that wheel was something I was actually not expecting to make it around. Funny enough, this Pokemon went, I think, second or fourth. It went fourth in the other draft, and Iron Valiant went first in the other draft. So we got both. And Guldango was the next pick. I mean, good as gold, immune to status move. It's the best hazard keeper in the game. You can't defog it unless you're Halucha. You can't rapid spin it. Like, it's just... It's great. And Make It Rain is one of the... I mean, Steel typing is just insane by itself. Pair it with Ghost and 133 Spatak, and you're just ready to... I mean, no pun intended. You're ready to tango, so...
This Pokemon's incredible. The Golden Man. There's not enough you could say about it. I mean, yeah, its ability is incredible. Not being able to be Willowed, not being able to be Encored or Tricked or Thunder Waved or any of that, or you can't Rapid Spin, you can't Defog, you can't Mortal Coil on it. It's just the only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't stop like screens or spikes or whatever. But that's fine. Just an incredible typing, both offensively and defensively with Ghost Steel. It hits like a tank. Even when you're like not particularly hyper offensive, it still hits like a bus when you click Make It Rain, because there's only so much you can, like, you can't really mess up. What is that? 130 base
120
power.
base power stab at 133 special attack.
Yeah, it's
base
crazy.
Special attack is nuts.
And I mean, you've got so many options as far as sets. I've seen. I mean, common ones are Scarf and Specs and Air Balloon, but you could also run Lefties and Colbur Berry. I've seen Rocky Helmet before. Again, going back to coverage, it gets coverage isn't that great, but it doesn't need great coverage. Basically just needs Dual Stab and Focus Blast is pretty much all it ever needs. Sometimes it'll run Dazzling Gleam. Sometimes you might see a rare Thunderbolt or Psychic, but as a general rule, you just need Dual Stab and Focus Blast. It gets Nasty Plot. It gets Recover.
It gets Recover. Trick. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It gets dual screens. It's
the Thunder Wave.
It gets Memento, which is a really neat thing. It doesn't get a gigantic move pool, but it gets a perfect move pool for
Yeah.
what it does. It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Exactly. For the Pokemon's worth, it does exactly what you need it to do.
And it does a lot too.
Yeah.
The thing.
Yeah, it does. It literally, its existence prevents people from actually being able to make plays. Like, hey, I'm gonna rapid spin this turn. Oh, he has a Goldango. I can't do that right now. Like those types of things. You have to rethink a lot of plays, and with the ability of having like Thunderbolts as well as coverage on there with. Want to bring back the Steel Beam again from the good old Silvally days. Memento, Light Screen. It's just, we've said everything you need to. It's a great mon.
And like one of the things. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say if you want to get zesty with it, Charge Beam is also a great move.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's really funny. I also want to mention Iron Valiant also gets Charge Beam.
It does, yeah. I was just gonna say, with all the crazy things that this league allowed, allowing Palafin and Chen Pao and Chi Yu and Iron Bundle, and we did pretty well with Pokemon that weren't banned immediately. Compared to Annihilate is running around. I mean, granted, we did end up grabbing Houndstone later in the draft, but
yes, we're gonna get there very later, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but that's all there is to say about Goldango. Though it does everything. It's just such a good plug-in mon. You just throw it on the team because its existence makes your opponent's life more difficult.
Exactly. Yeah, it existing makes things hard. So after we go on the wheel, we gotta wait a bunch of picks. I think one of the mons I really wanted to use was Great Tusk, but after we talked about it a lot, we talked Iron Valley and Goldango. I was like, probably not gonna get Great Tusk. We saw Tusk, Corv, and I think Treads all go off the board. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of cool mons that went, and in here in this round, Annihilate, the dude paired Chi-Yu, Corv, and Annihilate together, which is kind of wild.
That was my go-to OU team that got me up to like 1700. So that's a little scary.
Yeah, but I feel good. Meowscarada, King Gambit, and then it got back to us, right? And then there's obviously, I think every team is viable just because of your eight teams condensed into this kind of heavy draft pool. If you move all the way to 16 teams, I definitely don't think we get Iron Valley, and I definitely don't think we get both Iron Valley and Goldango. But I also don't think we grab the next pick as well with Ting Lu, because Ting Lu is arguably one of the best hazard setters in the game right now. With a base HP pool of 155, defense at 125, it's attack stat is still nothing to sneeze at 110. You're not running a lot of attack, but as a dark ground type, Vessel of Ruin as the ability stops their special attack. Its Spadef isn't high, but at 80 is nothing to sneeze at, especially when you're knocking their attack down by 0.75 to 0.75. So yeah, it's phenomenal to see.
And something to talk about as far as Ting Lu is you don't technically usually see a lot of like heavy invested physical attacking Ting Lus, but when you do run into them, they hit like a bus. I mean, I've seen Bandit on the ladder. I've seen just heavy investment where you don't need a lot of bulk investment in it, and it hits, because 110 is still gonna punch holes through things, even if and it gets like pretty good offensive. I mean, that's why we took it, is because we needed both the typings. We needed dark and ground.
Exactly.
And ground types are like few and far between in this generation. Like good ground types are hard to come by. And they were flying off the board. I mean, that round, I think 4 of them got taken or something. 3 of them got taken.
Yeah, like Great Tusk went. Is Iron Treads ground?
Iron Treads is ground. Garchomp went
in the all within 5 picks of each other.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, let's make sure we get a ground type. And then a dark type is also nice because you never know with psychic types if they're going to be a problem. And
psychic types are great when they're unchecked.
And like this generation, there's not a lot of really potent ones. I think the ones that are pretty potent didn't even get drafted. Like Armor Rouge didn't get drafted. I don't think Gardevoir got drafted. I don't think
Ceruledge got drafted either.
Ceruledge didn't get drafted, but Ceruledge is ghost type.
Oh, that's true. I don't know why I'm thinking they're both psychic types.
Because it would make sense.
I think Espathra is psychic, is it not?
Espathra got drafted. Yeah, so that was a big reason to want Ting Lu, because Espathra is a pain in the buttocks. But
Slowking's on there too. I mean, very mild psychic types if you're looking at what actually was drafted in the psychic type category.
Yeah, like they're not hyper offensive. I think having the most offensive are Espathra and Hatterene. Which
Oh,
Hatterene, don't
Hat
get me
did
wrong.
get
We know
drafted.
we know I love Hatterene, and I was sad to see that it wouldn't be joining
We
the
would have
rotation.
taken it too. That's the crazy
We
part.
would have.
It
Yeah,
got picked the pick before
the
we were
pick
able to take
before.
it in the
Yeah,
7th round.
yeah. But yeah, Ting Lu, I mean, it does so many things well. It's so like you don't have to invest physical defense at all because of its crazy HP stat,
Yep.
and then you really don't need to invest special. Like you basically you stack this thing's bulk if you just really want to make sure you're totally shutting something down, whether it's physical or special, because it's so insanely bulky on both sides because of its ability that it just you send it out and it takes like 30% from a super effective hit, and you're like, how is that even possible?
Yep.
It's crazy. This Pokemon is insane.
Yeah.
And then you got like you got rocks, you got T spike, or you got rocks and spikes. It doesn't get T spikes, but it gets whirlwind, it gets body press, it gets earthquake, it gets ruination, it gets
Ruinations is a great move.
throat chop. I think is the dark type move they run on it.
Yep. And it also
yeah,
gets
it's
memento as well on this Pokemon.
it does get memento. Yeah,
I mean, earthquake stab. Its body press is, I mean, with its defense stat, it.
yeah, it gets heavy slam, it gets taunt. It's all around. Again, not a Pokemon that gets a ton of moves, but the moves that it does get work really well together.
Perfect for the Pokemon.
And like I said, there's pretty much you could do whatever you want with this Pokemon. It's 155 HP will set any Pokemon up for success, but when you pair it with 125 defense and an ability that nerfs your opponent's special attack, it's just this Pokemon just goes crazy. It's insane.
Yeah, it's great. I
yeah,
think it was a
that's
great
all there
pickup.
really is to say. But yeah, it just goes insane with and it pairs really well with Goldango, which
Yeah,
is really nice
it
because
does.
they share they counteract each other's weaknesses really well. And the same with Iron Valiant to a degree. These three kind of really work well off of each other. The only thing that isn't covered in this trio, I think, in some capacity, is fire, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Oh, and technically ground isn't, but
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, and then we also cover pretty much all three of those weaknesses with our next 3 picks. So it's like it helps a ton with what we have remaining. Again, we're on the wheel, and this was actually what we came down to it because we were thinking about. I definitely was thinking about do we want to use our Terra? Oh, I didn't tell you the Terra rules. I'm sorry. So the Terra rules are you get 2 Terra types for 1 Pokemon are declared at the end of the draft, and that Pokemon is worth an extra amount of points. On top of it. So for example, if you wanted to Terra Iron Valiant, instead of 18 points for the draft, it would have been worth 22. So it would have spent 4 extra points to Terra it. You are required to Terra a Pokemon. That's just how it has to work out in that scenario. So I thought about Iron Valiant as my Terra, but honestly, I don't think it needs it to succeed. But I mean, I don't think the next Pokemon necessarily needs it to succeed, but it definitely helps a ton based off of what moves it gets and how Terraing works. And on the wheel, we ended up taking Volcarona to tear it up. So instead of 14 points, we're 17 points, and it's has to take 2 Terra types, one of its stabs, and then 1 non-stab. So we took Fire and Grass, which I believe someone else did the exact same thing as the other Goldango team in the Scarlet did exactly the same thing as we did over there. So Volcarona, we've seen Volcarona before. I mean, I love Volcarona. I think it's a good Pokemon. I definitely struggle with utilizing Volcarona, but I think with a little bit of help this season, we'll make sure it's utilized to its full extent, especially with Terra typing. I mean, Calm Mind it gets, but you know what it's about with the Quiver Dance. I mean, it gets Overheat. You want to rock its normal dancing moves, Fire Dance, Flamethrower, Bug Buzz. It's a very hard hitter, and with the Grass Terra type, getting Stab Giga Drain on the set could be really, really huge for us.
And even more importantly than Stab Giga Drain is taking away the quad weakness to Rock, and yeah, you become weak to Fire, which I guess is kind of whatever. You become weak to Bug. It's kind of funny. You become weak to both of your own types, which is kind of funny. But But like, other than that, like you don't really lose a whole lot. Yeah, you go from resisting ice to being weak to ice, but ideally, that's the crazy part about Terra is, especially when you have 2 options to Terra, your opponent has to consider like, oh, is this going to be the nuclear weapon type of Terra where my stab is now 2 times, or is this going to be the utility Terra where I've got a new defensive typing and access to a 3rd stab. And so when you have that question to ask, I mean, granted, if your opponent knows what the 2 types are, it can be usually pretty easy to figure it out. But like I can't tell you the number of times I've been just absolutely floored on the ladder by a Terra typing or by a Terra that just catches me off guard. Like, oh, okay, this is a Volcarona. I'm gonna click Rock Slide. Oh, he turned into a Grass type. The Rock Slide did 30%. Like,
Right. Exactly.
like Terra is such an interesting mechanic because unlike Mega, unlike Z moves, we're not really going to talk about the Forsaken 8th gen mechanic. We don't really acknowledge
It
that
was
here.
banned in leagues for a reason.
Yeah, but unlike Terra or unlike Mega and Z move, like Z move, it's kind of like, I guess it's like kind of like almost like closer to Z move where you've only got oh no, it's closer to Mega. Z move is it's just like a one-time pop where it's just like,
it's
okay,
one
here we
big
go.
nuclear weapon.
Yeah. But it's such an interesting thing because like previously, I mean there were a couple megas that made an exception to this rule, but like the gimmicks didn't like fundamentally change how Pokemon worked, you know?
Right.
Like Volcarona, when you're suddenly not weak to the thing that really cripples you, and it stays that way when you switch out, like Volcarona doesn't necessarily have to run boots anymore. And the reason is because if you just turn into a grass type and then switch out, you're not quad weak to rock anymore.
Right.
It's
You're not taking
like,
50%. You're taking 12.
you're taking
now.
12. Yeah, it's like there are so many neat things about how Terra works. I mean, whether it's like, and like even like with Volcarona specifically, like having that stab Giga Drain just to get a little bit more health back because it did lose Roost this generation. Although it lost Roost, but it does still have access to Morning Sun, so it's not like the end of the world.
Oh, that's actually really nice. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Cool.
But when you got things like, you've got Fiery
since they
Dance, you got
nerfed
Bug
healing,
Buzz, you got Giga Drain. Yeah.
Same thing now. Yeah, it's great move sets. And if you, I mean, if you really, I was gonna say you could run Calm Mind, but if you'd rather just run Quiver because you get speed as well. But
yeah, 99% of the time.
There's
99.9%.
I'm like 100%. There's no reason to run Calm Mind.
Well, I mean, like if your opponent's gonna be using like an obvious Trick Room team, I guess.
Oh, I guess that's technically true.
That's like the only situation where I could see it being useful. But like Volcarona's pretty, especially this gen. You'll basically see one stab, Giga Drain, and like a coverage move. Psychic is pretty common. Yeah. And then Morning Sun, Quiver Dance, what have you,
And in Draft League, it's going to be a little, obviously the typical ladder stuff isn't always what you're going to be seeing, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like that's the crazy part with it. And I think that's what makes Draft League fun because I could there might be a week where I need to run dual stab Quiver Morning Sun and not bring Grass move and just be a nuclear weapon with Terra Fire. Yep. Or then there's a week where it's like, oh, fire is redundant, but hey, guess what? I can turn into a grass type and be good as a grass type for this matchup. So I could go run Quiver, Morning Sun, Giga Drain, or no Morning Sun, just run Giga Drain, insert bug move here plus coverage move for extra help. So it's like, I think that's what the variety that we could bring with Volcarona to already add on to its nice freaking stats of 100 base speed, 105 speed F, 135 speed attack, 85 HP is nothing to sneeze at either. Makes it a good Pokemon.
Exactly, and it's got decent utility too, like things like Willow and Tailwind, and it gets U-turn, which is like a good thing for like certain matchups, especially like on Scarf sets. U-turn Volcarona can be an absolute menace to deal with, just because generally when Volcarona hits the field, you're sending in your heavy special wall, right? To make sure that if he does click Quiver Dance, you've got something to deal with it. Well, when you're U-turning out and you're getting momentum, and all of a sudden that Blissey is faced with Iron Valiant, it's a pretty nasty combination, so that's a pretty cool thing to run with. I love Pokemon that get pivots, even if they're unconventional pivots like U-turn Volcarona. But yeah, I think that's all there is to say about Volcarona, I think.
Yeah, I mean, solid mon.
And Flame Body is the best ability in Pokemon, so that's the last thing to say.
Yeah, Flame Body is pretty cool, especially with 30% chance. Even though I like never get Flame Bodies.
It's at least 70%, and you can't convince me otherwise. This is a crazy ability.
You must forget that I am the most unlucky person with 30%. I literally clicked like 8 Scalds in a row and didn't get a burn. So now we're running away. We were waiting for the wheel. You know what's crazy is before we got to pick, Kilowattrel got picked, and I was kind of shocked that Kilowattrel got off the board. We were gonna take Hawlucha with potential in this round. Hawlucha went off the board a couple picks ago before us. I was like, it was like, what is this? 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. The third pick in the same round, round 5. So we were like, darn. But other than that, everything else kind of fell our way in this round, and we ended up looking at it. And we're like, you know what? We need our water type. We kind of need to build. We were between a couple different things. I know Staraptor was on the board as well. Staraptor and another Pokemon. I don't remember. I was talking about it. I do not remember what the Pokemon I wanted.
It was Gyarados, I believe.
It was Gyarados. That's what it was. We
were debating between a water type and then a Pokemon that wasn't on the ground,
Correct.
and then a Pokemon with Intimidate.
Right.
And we basically narrowed it down to a like a collection of Pokemon that had one or two of those three things.
Correct. We ended up settling this round on Vaporeon, which I think is a phenomenal pickup. Opening my eyes to the Vaporeon is great. I will 110% be running the purple Vaporeon all season. And I'm letting you guys know right now that my good friend Momo Swizzy, her favorite Pokemon is Vaporeon. So this will be Momo Swizzy for the season. And I'm not taking any complaints, any arguments. Water Absorb is great. Obviously, we're never running Hydration because I think rain just hinders our entire roster. But
plus, Water Absorb is just going to be better in rain anyway.
Exactly. So this Pokemon's solid though. I mean, if you really want to get zesty with it, it gets Acid Armor. You get Calm Mind. I believe that it got Calm Mind this.
It got Calm Mind this gen, yes.
Which is huge. I mean, yeah, that's phenomenal. Already has access to Haze. I mean, and then you pair that with Ice Beam, Shadow Ball. No Scald anymore, but you still can utilize Surf. I mean, it's still
Chilling Water, which is not great, but you know.
Yeah, and I don't think that's like Chilling Water is just basically worse Scald. Like straight up,
exactly
it lowers the attack by 1, and it's 30 base power.
But it is guaranteed to lower the attack, which is
I mean, we also have Hydro Pump, so
yeah. But you know, it's got 130 HP and Wish, which is huge.
Yes,
it's got
that's Yawn.
The big thing. It's got
and I think that's a big reason why we're also content with Volcarona not having as big of recovery, especially with recovery moves being the way they are now with only 8 PP.
Wish is so much stronger now.
16. And with Wish Protect, and you could pass that off 130. Like if since we're playing this at level 50, because it'll be on Wi-Fi, right? You're looking at
good to know.
You're looking at 237 in half is what, like 118, 17, 18, 17, something like that.
I don't know what you're calculating, right? Oh, the size of the Wish. Okay,
119, 119. It's one of those. I don't remember if they round down or up for the halves, but if I think it might be 18. I mean,
what number are you talking about? Oh, level 50. Okay, I was looking at level 100. I was like, what are you talking about?
That's why I said level 50. So like, let's say it's 118. Like Iron Valiant has 149 HP. So like Goldango without bulk has 162 HP. Like that's a lot of HP that we're helping our team recover just by utilizing Wish on Pokemon that not only don't really get great recovery. I know Goldango gets recovered, but that's only 8. You can't recover spam 16 times anymore. So it's like kind of playing game, and 20 with the timer being at 20, you got to be aggressive and cautious at the same time, and kind of be making your plays smartly. So that's just the big thing here. I love Vaporeon though.
The absolute biggest thing with Vaporeon, and the reason that I was because originally Gyarados was like where my head was at. 12 points is cheap for Gyarados. Gyarados is an incredible Pokemon.
Checked literally all our boxes in one Pokemon.
Yeah,
all of them.
The only reason that we didn't go with Gyarados is because the only reason I didn't want to go with Gyarados is because of the inclusion of Palafin and Iron Bundle in this league. There are two reasons that's an issue. So one, Palafin doesn't care about Intimidate at all. It is 160 attack is going to hit you like a bus, whether you are and it's gonna set up on you too. So like, it's dumb.
I think
and Iron Bundle gets freeze dry, so Gyarados is dying.
Exactly.
So Water Absorb Vaporeon is so nice to just have a guaranteed switch in to Terra Water Palafin and Terra Water Iron Bundle. Oh, actually, Iron Bundle's not even the Terra on that. Yellow Wattrel is the Terra on that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Do you know? I've run calcs. I've used this Pokemon Iron Bundle before. Do you know how crazy the Hydro Pumps get when you Terra them? It's crazy. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I guess
Rain, Pelipper Rain is same boat, I guess, but then it's even strong. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, it's even stronger then. Anyway. But yeah, so Vaporeon, just really, really good insurance policy against those two Pokemon in particular. But it also helps for things like the Azumarill Greninja team, which, by the way, is that Protean Greninja?
No.
Yes. Really? 16. It's got to be Protean. That's got to be Protean.
I don't
That's
know.
really expensive for not Protean Greninja.
I think they are allowing it because Protean got nerfed.
Protean got nerfed. That's what I was asking.
Yeah, I think so.
And like, it also helps for like Quaquaval, although not as much for Quaquaval because Quaquaval does get close combat, which Vaporeon doesn't love. But just it's a really good insurance for water types, which is really nice.
To be fair,
and like I said, the wish
solid
support is
Pokemon
awesome.
for that. If we really want to get zesty with Grass, Volcarona, that's kind of that actually is really
for sure.
But you never know. But yeah, water absorb definitely. And then we were on the wheel, so we were like, oh, we definitely want to take something off the ground, blah, blah, blah. And then we were like, well, Staraptor gets Intimidate if we could take that. And then it ended up kind of coming down to, do we actually want the, because Staraptor was like a little bit higher on the point market for this, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, I think it was,
Staraptor was 11. It was 1 point higher.
Yeah.
So we were kind of like, do we want the 1 extra point, or what do we want to do with this? But it ended up coming down to the fact that I think Talonflame, with its move pool was slightly better for what we wanted out of this Pokemon.
It was a combination of its move pool, and I think also Intimidate's nice, but Talonflame has 2 really viable abilities in Flame Body and Gale Wings. Gale Wings obviously not as good as it was back in Gen 6, but still a decent ability where you have like just that priority to revenge things if you absolutely need it.
Right.
The other thing is that it's again, while Staraptor hits a little bit harder and can be bulkier, Talonflame kind of fills that utility role a little better where like God, I mean, the number of times I've run Rocky Helmet physically defensive Talonflame to check things like Heracross or to check things like, I mean, Heracross isn't in the gym now, but like Meowscarada is like, it really struggles against Talonflame. Scizor really struggles against Talonflame. Let's see. It's really easy to switch into things like let's see. Cinderace is pretty easy to switch into. Just in general, it's a really strong Pokemon for a lot of physical attackers. It really has a decent matchup to switch into some things. Obviously, Roost is a big thing. And another big thing was Defog. I don't remember if Staraptor kept Defog, but I know Talonflame kept Defog.
I think it did.
Yeah, that was it. Staraptor lost Defog this gen. That's what it was.
Oh, because we were looking it up. We were like, oh, what's the big thing that,
Because we were like, oh, we're gonna need a hazard remover because, again, few and far between. And Hatterene, we were like, oh, well, maybe we'll grab Hatterene as a hazard prevention. And then the next round, Hatterene went off the board. So
thank God we
grabbed Talonflame. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, oh. Yeah, so that was a big thing was defog and making sure we had some hazard removal, which we do snag another hazard removal later, which it's fine, but it's like I'd rather see us bring Talonflame than the last pick of our draft. So that's basically what it comes down to. But I mean, Talonflame's great. We gets all the way to the 7th round. We went straight up Hatterene. We were like, we're taking Hat. We're taking Hat for sure. I don't know what the other Pokemon's gonna be. We're taking Hat. The pick before I get to select our pick, Hatterene goes. So the Smallville Smolives, if we play all this, do we play all this season? Let's find out. Let me find out real quick.
And that's my bread and butter Pokemon too that got taken. That's the crazy part. That's like me and Hatterene. We're like,
we do not. So, you better hope you don't see us in playoffs because you got a target on your back after that one. But you did gift us something slightly good here.
Yeah. So I remember I was looking at the tier list, and when you look at the tier list and you're looking for like, okay, a 7th round draft pick, something that's, not going to be too crazy,
nothing too pricey,
but you're going through it and like you see at the top of the list, like Chen Pao, Iron Valiant, Chi-Yu,
I kept saying Hydreigon was still on the board,
Iron Bundle, all of these Pokemon that have been banned from OU are all crazy high.
Yep. 16 points, 17, 18 point Pokemon.
Yeah. And then I got down to the list and I saw that there was a Pokemon in the 12-point tier that astonished me. And I was like, that's weird. I wonder if there's some kind of restriction. So I went to the rules page and there was nothing about the clauses for this Pokemon.
I also asked a mod and it was fun.
And that Pokemon, of course, is Houndstone. Now, Houndstone, if you don't know, was in the 2nd class of bans, or maybe it was the 1st class of bans.
I think
no, it was the 2nd, because the first one was just Fluttermane, and then Palafin and Houndstone
got banned after.
Yeah. So Houndstone, if you don't know, has a really funny move. It's called Last Respects,
Yep.
and it's base 50 power ghost move. You're like, oh, that's not that bad. But for every member of your party that's dead, it goes up by 50 power. So it's a really good reverse sweeper because 300 base power ghost type move is not easy to switch into,
No.
especially with a respectable 100 attack. And so the other
101. Give him his credit.
101. My bad.
Give him his credit. Give him his credit.
So that's a really funny button to click. It's really kind of in my this is comparable to my how I would like describe like a Darmanitan Flare Blitz, kind of the same deal. It's the OSB. So yeah, Houndstone is a really, really unique Pokemon though. Pure Ghost type is an incredible typing. I love Pure Ghost type Pokemon. They're not as good as Dark types, but having that fighting immunity is clean. I mean, we already have Goldango, but you know, it's still
have enough.
Having a fighting immunity is so nice. Having a spin blocker is so nice. Again, we have the best spin blocker, so like that's not that important here. But I cannot stress enough how cool this Pokemon is. So it's you look at it and you're like, oh well, whatever. Those base stats are whatever. You know, its highest base stat is its 101 attack. That's right. Whatever.
It's kind of in that category. I get you.
But like it's the way that it's distributed is so nice.
Yep.
Where 72 HP is whatever. You know, that's 2 more than Iron Valiant. Iron Valiant's not the bulkiest.
But it's
101
not
attack, not overwhelming, but with Last Respects, it's kind of crazy.
Correct.
100 defense is just fine when you look at it. When you look at it, 100 defense is just fine. 97 Spid F is just fine. But when you consider its hidden ability, Fluffy, all of a sudden, a lot of those physical attacks with that 100 defense, you don't give a crap. Like you just nuke things.
Yep.
You sit there, you take hits, and you dish it back out. And I love this Pokemon. I get why it's allowed, because it is easier to play around when you know for a fact it's you know in the pool of things that are coming. You've had the chance to draft with it in mind. I understand why it's allowed, but I was astonished to see this Pokemon at 12 points.
Yeah.
Because there's no two ways around the fact that Scarf Houndstone is going to outspeed. I think it outspeeds 115, if I'm not mistaken, which is a majority of the decks. And yeah, it's not going to be able to deal with things like Dragapult. But like that's like there's one Dragapult, you know.
Of course.
And even so, it gets Shadow Sneak, so like you know it has options to maybe deal with it anyway. And when you're outspeeding things and just spamming a 300 base power move, it is like the best insurance policy to win a game that I could imagine. And you don't even have to run Scarf because of Fluffy, because it's so like deceptively bulky because of its ability. Like you could just run like a standard bulky AV set, like a standard like leftover set. You could run banded bulky. Like it does not have to be Scarfed. I mean, in fact, I don't think Scarf is particularly great, if I'm being honest. I think Band and I think AV are better sets. But, you know, Scarf is just such a threat because you're not taking the chip that you would be taking if you're running Banded or AV or leftovers or what have you. Or Colbur or something like that. But it's got a great move pool other than Last Respects too. It's got Body Press, it's got Crunch, it's got Destiny Bond, it's got Disable, it's got Willow, it's got Yawn, it's got Trick, it's got Stomping Tantrum, It's got Play Rough. It's got Memento. This is a great Pokemon. This is a fantastic Pokemon for a nice price. That you know, you look at it just at its stats, it doesn't look overwhelming, but it is a great Pokemon, and it might not perform as well as it did on the OU ladder because of, you know, it's a different kind of play style. You know, it's a different game we're playing basically.
Right.
But there's no way. Like I remember when I was looking at it, I was like, I consulted the big three. I was like, hey Eric, Nick, you know, here's kind of what we're thinking. Let me pull up that chat really quick actually.
Okay. While we're on the subject, I did do some research here, and I was typing in the damage calc with Scarf Jolly Houndstone, what could we outspeed? If you want to like heavily invest in it, right? Obviously you play to the team. If you want to go max, if you have a base 127 max Jolly Pokemon, it outspeeds because of level 50.
Oh, that's right, level 50.
Yeah, so that helps a ton. So I mean, yeah. Realistically speaking, how fast? Dragapult's fast as fuck though. Like,
Dragapult's 145. It's not
142 is ridiculous.
Or 142, yeah.
But like, how much is a Shadow Sneak doing, right? Like that's like it's not just because it's, you know, like a Shadow Sneak does with max attack Jolly. It does 45 to 55. So that's like
that's
a lot.
I pulled up the point where I was trying to get their input on what to take, and I said also something that I thought was funny is not only did they allow Ghost Dog, he's only 12 points, and he said, and Eric said,
And
and
Eric,
he's still
quote.
available. Jesus Christ, this place is a nut house.
Yeah. He's like, and we're not taking Ghost Dog. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, fact. So we took Ghost Dog.
Yeah, Ghost Dog goes bird.
And with the next pick, we wanted to add a little zest to the team, and we took Pincurchin. You know, electric terrain is cool. It also gets lightning rod if you really want to be that guy. But electric surge is great because of Iron Valiant. Iron Valiant's Cork Drive gets activated multiple times if you wanted to. You also get Memento with this Pokemon. I believe it gets Spikes was another big thing that we talked about.
And Toxic Spikes.
And T-Spikes was another big thing. So we have access to all hazards with this Pokemon. It gets Zing Zap.
Yep, it does.
That's
Although
really nice.
it's a base 15 speed, so I don't think that will matter much. But it does get it.
Also true. Also true.
The biggest thing with this Pokemon is just it's like deceptively bulky because it's got a really, really garbage HP stat, but it's got like respectable defense and speed.
101 or 95 defense and 91 special attack, 85
like
speed def.
It's got
wild.
like decent bulk, so like it can take hits. But the biggest thing is it's got access to Discharge and Surf and Hydro Pump.
And
Discharge
Punch?
and Sucker Punch is really funny. And it gets Recover if it does survive. It gets Memento. It gets Poison Jab. It gets Liquidation. It's got like a really like deceptively good move pool.
Dude, who's surfing on a Pincurchin?
What? He's a what do you call it? He's a sea urchin.
I get it.
Yeah.
But like,
how much cooler would this Pokemon be if it was water electric?
Valid.
Oh my god, that'd be so cool. That'd be so
valid.
cool. I mean, granted, it would kind of screw itself because it'd be a water type and electric terrain, but like, but as a lightning rod user, that'd be pretty cool. But as an electric terrain, that might not be that great. But still, but yeah, just a cool kind of. This is a gimmick pick. 100%, this is a gimmick pick. It's just really nice to have that terrain for the potential, not even to have the terrain. It's just the potential to have it in our back pocket.
People have to prep for it. You have to come into the battle knowing that there is a chance that I can take electric terrain and have Iron Valiant ready to go.
Like they have to be prepared for the chance that they're going to run into Specs electric terrain Iron Valiant.
Yeah, and you know what sucks though is I wish Pincurchin got Volt Switch. I'm actually upset it doesn't get Volt Switch.
It's kind of like the Stunfisk situation.
But if you want to get real about it, we could definitely run Terrain Extender, fucking Electric Surge Memento, and you can
100%.
hold it. And you can walk out of here like nothing happened. So
100%. Yeah, but it's a really cool Pokemon that gives you kind of an option if you don't want to run Booster Energy, but it could still be nice. Like something where you don't need the Quark Drive, but it could come in handy. Pincurchin is there for you. Like
exactly.
It's a really cool Pokemon. Like I said, it's very, very gimmicky. I don't expect this to be like a staple of the team, but something that could come in handy if you need like easy hazards, if you need. And, it's only got one weakness as a pure electric type, which is nice. So, really cool mon. We'll see how it works. Not expecting giant things, but who knows? Maybe it'll kind of bamboozle us a little bit.
Right. You never know. Maybe it'll come through. Yeah, exactly. And we only took 10 mons. You were required to take 9, and you had to take between 9 and 11. So we ended up taking 10 in this scenario. So we took 2 4-pointers to end up our draft. We get all the way back around, and we really weren't looking for anything special, nothing in particular. But we ended up settling on Dunsparce for the next pick, and Dunsparce is actually, you opened my eyes to it especially. Base 100 HP is not bad, and when you look at its defenses, it's 70-65, but then you realize something very, very important. The Dunsparce exists, so you can run Eviolite Dunsparce with Serene Grace.
You get Serene Grace Body Slam, you get Roost, I mean, even if you don't want to go Roost, you could go Rest. Like I mean, a Violite Rest Pokemon are some of the most annoying Pokemon in the game, especially now that they have just gutted the available knockoff users.
Yep.
In this generation, like everything lost knockoff.
It's also an extra stealth rock user if we
It
absolutely
is.
need it to be.
Yeah, that was something we kind of forgot about, and just so we like kind of happenstance
Yeah.
into is that that Dunsparce does get stealth rock, which is kind of nice.
Something
It gets
else
yawn.
is Ice Spinner, which is a new move in this gen that can end
It gets
terrain.
ice
so
spinner, which is
things,
pretty cool. Yep. Its signature move is pretty funny where
The hyper drill breaks through protect.
hyper drill breaks through protect. Yep, and it's base 100 normal type move, so that's pretty cool.
Yep, that's stab, and we're running it
Just
every game.
Yep, just a really cool mon. If you really want to get saucy, ancient power for that spicy 20%
chance to boost
Omni
it up.
boost. Yep. Yeah, just a cool. Gets coil and curse, so that's pretty cool.
It also gets Calm Mind.
It gets Calm Mind. Yeah, the Dunsparce set that people are running is Calm Mind, Boom Burst. I forget what else. It gets glare. It gets glare.
Huge. This thing
is
gets
huge. That is a massive thing to have.
It gets Fire Blast Flamethrower, which I'm assuming the bigger boy is running right now. Ice Beam is on there. It also has access to Rock Slide and Stone Edge if you want to get real zesty. So this Pokemon has some finesse to it. Defense Curl is also there too. Amnesia if you want to get bulky. And something really else that people don't think about, is Pounce. Pounce is actually a bug move that can lower the target speed by 100% of the time. Something people don't think about that I think is also a really solid move.
And if you think about it, that just means that Dunsparce does it 200% of the time. So
exactly.
Do you know if there's any if there's any restrictions on Baton Pass? I'm assuming that you can't pass.
I'm assuming it's just pass. I didn't read the rules with Baton Pass, but I can double check really quickly.
Yeah, I'm just assuming that you can't pass stats.
All Smogon clauses apply except for the Baton Pass and trapping ability. Baton Pass clause, no intentional passing of stat boosts and substitution. So
okay, cool. So you could still pass. You just can't pass.
Correct.
Things. So it does have pivot then too, which is nice.
Correct. Yeah, pivot with Baton Pass is huge. And that's the same for another one of the Pokemon. We have Vaporeon. But I'm pretty sure Vaporeon has the water one now. So
what water one?
The water switching, like Volt Switch. What's the move called?
It's not in the movie. It's not in the game right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I was really sad.
Well, it gets Baton Pass. It's fine.
Oh, it does. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yo, I haven't played in a league where Baton Pass has been legal in any capacity in so long. I forgot Vaporeon. That's so huge.
Yeah, wish Baton Pass is solid, dude.
Yeah, that's so huge.
Yeah. That was something I was thinking about. I forgot to mention it, but it's been on the brain.
Yeah, no, that's gigantic. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so we got resources on this team.
Yeah.
And you pair that with the fact that we have multiple U-turn users. I mean, it's just great. It's great. And then our last pick, you brought this up in like round 4 before we took Talonflame. You were like, yeah, Altaria gets Will-O-Wisp. And I was like, I mean, great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I guess we're taking it. It's
another
Defog user, which is also really nice. And I wanted a dragon. So
like the biggest thing was like dragons in Gen 9, not the most available resource. I think there are like
I really wanted Noivern and Terra Noivern. I'm gonna keep it a stack with y'all.
Look, there are some good dragons, and then there are a lot of bad dragons.
I'm just saying, normal Terra Boom Burst. You show me a switch in because we have them.
And like Dragapult, Dragonite, Garchomp, Roaring Moon, obviously Baxcalibur and Hydreigon. But we had gotten to a point where there were other things we needed.
Yep.
Or at least we felt like we needed, where it was like we weren't going to spend big on a dragon. There was a point where I was like, I'm actually not that opposed to Noivern. But at the same time, it was either that or Talonflame, basically, I think at the time.
Made sense.
Although I don't think you would have been able to sway me on taking Terra away from Volcarona for Noivern.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But
Altaria, if we had it at that earlier draft.
Altaria is a cool niche Pokemon though. Something that I've never really considered like a viable mon. It is quad weak to ice. It is not the most stunning Pokemon on paper, but it gets Natural Cure, which is really nice. It gets Cloud9, which could be pretty funny later down the line.
Yeah, actually could be really, really useful. Something we need to battle test is Cloud9. Does it also take away photosynthesis from Sun?
Yes, it would.
It should, right?
Because there would not be
effect from weather.
Yeah.
We should battle test it to make sure, but I might have a chance for that.
I'm 90% sure it would.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. But I mean, you look at Altaria, and you've got again, this is a very support utility heavy Pokemon, but it's got some of my favorite moves in the entire game.
Correct.
You look at Haze, you look at Perish Song, you look at Roost and Will-O-Wisp and Tailwind. It gets Fire Spin to pair with Perish Song, which is really funny. It gets Cotton Guard, which is a really meany move.
Yep.
Just a really solid all-around Pokemon.
It helps with speed control if you want to get zesty with Bulldoze.
Absolutely.
I think that's something very nice to have. Honestly, and I mean, it gets Snowscape.
Yeah, if you really want to make its own life really difficult, it gets Snowscape. But I mean, it gets some solid solid coverage.
That's the other one I was looking for.
Yeah, it gets some solid coverage too, though. I mean, you look at it's one of the few dragon types I think it's the only dragon type you'll ever see click Moonblast, which is pretty cool.
True.
It gets obviously Hurricane, which is its primary stab. I mean, I guess Brave Bird could technically be. It's got the same attack and special attack, both of which are terrible, but it is what it is. It gets Dragon Dance, which is we should set that goal now that we pull off the Dragon Dance sweep.
One Dragon Dance sweep. It's gonna get one Dragon Dance up and kill at least 2 Pokemon.
It's gonna get one Dragon Dance up and then die to insert ice move.
Dog, listen. What's gonna happen is we're gonna get into the quarterfinals, and the quarterfinal matchup is going to be something that just Altaria has the best matchup known to man against, and we're gonna be like, do we do it? Like,
I mean, like, all I'm saying is, like, Earthquake Outrage kind of covers all your bases.
Earthquake, Outrage, and then Roost, Dragon Dance. I'm just saying. Like,
yeah.
You never know.
It also gets Play Rough, which I didn't realize. That's really funny.
Play Rough.
That's kind of funny, actually.
Trailblaze if you want to be zesty with it. Like, it got some coverage.
But this is a very support-oriented Pokemon.
It was a support.
Very much for things like Defog and Haze and Perish Song and things like that. Will-O-Wisp was like I don't know why Game Freak all of a sudden in the year 2022
we're like, yo,
decided to give Altaria Will-O-Wisp. But I'm here for it.
Imagine Winona having Will-O-Wisp fucking Dragon Dance, Earthquake, Altaria in that Emerald game, because that would have killed everyone's runs. They would have been disgustingly OP.
Yeah, I don't quite understand why all of a sudden
Game Freak's
I don't quite get why, but here we are.
Game Freak's
it's a pretty cool thing. But yeah, that's kind of Altaria. There's not a whole lot to talk about. It's just it's decently bulky. 75, 90, 105 isn't terrible.
Nope.
And it gets Cotton Guard, which makes it really annoying. It'd be really cool if it got Body Press, but it doesn't. It gets Body Slam, again, more utility. Just a cool Pokemon all around. Again, kind of like Pincurchin, very niche, very gimmicky. Probably won't be part of a ton of games, but who knows?
You never know. I mean, it could have a really good matchup one week, and we need it.
Yep, absolutely.
I think you're gonna see our primary attackers be kind of IV, Talon, Volk, Houndstone are kind of your Pokemon that are probably going to hit harder than anyone else and be used as attackers. Goldango's going to have his moments. He's going to have his moments too.
Goldango, I think the hardest hitters on this team are Goldango and Iron Valiant, if I'm being honest.
Houndstone
is the hardest hitter, but Houndstone is also not. Again, I don't think it's going to be as easy to use as it was on the ladder.
It's not going to have the same opportunities. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But if we get lucky, I mean, Shadow Sneak, we can end up making some things happen. You never know.
Yeah.
But I really like our team. I really like what we're bringing every week. Seeing that what's it called, this band, the Cyclozar move, Shed Tail.
Shed Tail. Yeah,
that makes life really good on my health.
Yeah, that would have been really, really icky to deal with.
Yeah, that and Earthworm don't get it, so that's really nice. But I feel pretty good. The only thing that Greninja has bad is Battle Bond. I just got confirmed, so that's
I figured. I figured as much, yeah.
But I think we're gonna have a good time. I think it's gonna be a good season. My goal always is to win. Last time we were in BBR, we went to the semifinals, so I could see that we could have a potential opportunity to go back, and hopefully further. The bet is still on the table. If we win a championship, I will make a hoodie, and Alpha gets a free one. I mean, Addie gets a free one. I apologize.
That's fine. Don't worry about it.
You get a free hoodie.
Hell yeah.
You get a free. It's gonna be custom made with general manager on the back. It's GM Addie on the back of the hoodie. All right. Well, I had a great time today. Always fun sitting down to record. You guys will most likely see Addie in team builders. Obviously, you will not see Addie in battles because I do have that legally. I have to do those on my own.
Oh yeah, of course. There's no fun in me playing these.
That's just dumb.
Again, you're a better battler than I am. I'm just the brains of the operation. I just like to put the funny teams together.
Yeah, I think my on the toes moments and my lack of overthinking sometimes has its moments. It's definitely beneficial. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Click. Clicks right move somewhere magically. All right, good job, guys. Let's move on. Yeah, so I enjoy it. I think we make a good team. So I'm excited for what this season brings. All the other coaches that are participating, I believe they're going to make a paste. If not, I'll try my best to put everybody in the description below. If I forget anyone, I am very sorry ahead of time. Also in the description will be all of Addie's stuff that I need to put down. Twitter, Twitch, I believe that's all I need. Maybe YouTube, depending on everything else. And maybe a TikTok.
I'll maybe get a TikTok and YouTube up and running eventually.
If you have a link tree, that also helps. I could just put that in the description. And don't forget to check out my other stuff. Obviously, my link tree will be down in the description, along with Behind the Plays, which is my sports podcast. And of course, the best person on the planet, my Desu, makes the graphics for everything I own on my channels. So her link will always be in my descriptions down below. With that, though, I think that is everything I have to say. Any closing remarks?
We're going to have a great time. We're going to make the Iron Valiant go burr.
Iron Val go burr, and Houndstone is going to be the surprise MVP of the team. That's my mind.
All right.
There we go. No, realistically, Dunsparce, double-digit kills. We feeling it? 8 kills off of Stealth Rocks.
Let's go.
All right. We're going to get the heck out of here. I don't know who I'm going to make team captain, but we'll figure it out by week 1. I'll catch you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day. Like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. We'll catch you guys in BBR Week 1 Team Builder on Saturday. See you then. Peace.